finally, let me thank Otun for 82 for intervening in this issue, because some of us have our ward in the school and we would want to see everything put in order. Tafa Eddie, so the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, a member of Parliament, North Tongue constituency, former Deputy Education Minister in charge of tertiary education. Vibet.
Sharp.
Bibi Aboko there.
Nyamiadum.
Nyamiadum, Bibi Ekoye. Great. And right in some minority na press conference. Now, one key thing I bet when say Moka say anka Education Minister Matthew Opoku Prempeh and Minister of State in charge of tertiary. Omunfo Omojuma and Toho. Hello. Yes. Nami Busa said, Moka in that press conference said, Education Minister and a Minister of State in charge of tertiary. Omunfo Omojuma and Toho.
Ekusi saying on Asempa FM.
Yo, Midase. Eddie Kain. Min kase. Yenyana asumje na. Yes, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The second oldest university established in Ghana. It has a huge reputation. We share the pedigree in terms of rankings internationally. Their ability to attract international research grants, international students, and other key indicators. Na eyadia eyayapa one of our foremost higher institutions of learning. Into na sana yabatumi. Protected the image and the reputation of the institution. Fundamentally, at our press conference and we reiterated the point that some of us had made earlier. The government interventions, the subsidy, the council, the university council, an unlawful act na yamra emma aban kwan say of the council, and then the additional unlawful steps, the declaration say Vice Chancellor Pameno
Honorable, line no breaky kakra enti matese baby a wo sisia no nti na ama yenya sa challenge no enti let me ask our listeners to bear with us. Say line no yes sir. Yeah it's better now.
It's better. Okay. Yeah. Enti we made a point as I said about more and the unlawful steps are more taken. As an assault on the autonomy of these independent institutions. We cited several other examples I engaged in recent times. And we made a point, the attack on academic freedom, as I said, Abai Ejai. And then we also made a point, Abai Kase, Vice Chancellor, as I said, or stepping aside. And indeed, they had sent him a letter, on handing over to the Pro Vice Chancellor. We said, if the reason for that unlawful action by government, Vice Chancellor has a controversial policy of converting the male halls to mixed halls, the single-sex halls to mixed halls. Because later on, almost the Africa Hall, Edika Hall, into single-sex halls to mixed halls. If the accusation against the Vice Chancellor, and it's or implemented that policy. No. Then the ministers of education are more endorse a policy. No. As I said, or more a step aside. It is within that context that we made a demand, because we are insisting that there ought to be fairness, and we have to also be logical in the way we proceed on these matters. Because on the 15th of July, the 52nd congregation of KNUST, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Matthew Puku Prempe, addressing the congregation, endorsed the controversial policy, and a buying policy. 8th September 2018, Minister of State in charge of tertiary education, and also called a probo or KNUST. He even singled out the Vice Chancellor for praise. And said other universities should emulate his bold steps, his bold interventions. And all of these statements are available online. And yet, as some men make some unfairly accused anybody. We made a point, sir. If government insists on proceeding on that basis now, then the ministers are publicly or more supportive and championing and endorse a policy, then they also. And also the fact that this whole matter is a failure of leadership, because we've always had student leaders, we've always had concerns of students. In our history, there's even been more complex strikes, demands, protests, and all of that. And they have been managed maturely and lawfully, without breaking the laws and without undermining these time-tested principles of academic freedom, of autonomy, and the independence of our institutions. And fundamentally, this was the crux of our argument. And we demanded, sir, as I said, the dissolution of the council, abiding among rescind this decision of now among council no coin now and I complaining is so about the undermining of the chancellor now for to the second mediation efforts are now started, because young Kaiser, when this whole thing started, not Onikrom, but he swiftly directed the traditional council to intervene. And if the Ministry of Education had even checked with the stakeholders few hours before they issued that unlawful directive dissolving the council, meetings had taken place with key parties. An agreement had been reached. SRC had issued a statement, a public statement, indicating 9 points resolution that they had reached. The concerns on Murezi, which the management of the university had addressed. And there was no need, sir, about engaging in the knee-jerk reaction or more engaging. And these were the statements. As I said, this is a university and your primary school and a secondary school. You can just invade and put the statutes aside, put the Constitution aside, Article 70 of the Constitution, Article 21B of the Constitution, put Act 80, the KNUST Act as amended aside, and then disregard the principles of autonomy, academic freedom, independence of our institutions, and treat all of these principles with contempt. And this precedent must be tolerated.